Now, more hot news. We've got two visitors who've been here at the Poznan the whole time, and on my far left we've got Daniel Vockins, have I got it right, of the UK Youth Delegation, and on my left also, everyone's on my left, I'm not as reactionary as that, Jamie Henn from the US, your US youth participant from the organisation 350.org.
That's correct.
Okay, can I just begin by asking you to tell us briefly what 350.org is?
Sure. So 350.org is a new international climate campaign, and it's named after the safe level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that's a safe upper limit of 350 parts per million of CO2. Now that may sound like a bit of a boring number, so our goal is to make it as interesting and as powerful as possible for the coming months. We're going to do that by mobilizing people all over the planet to do creative events in iconic places. So in the next year, we're hoping to have people gather at places like the pyramids, the Great Barrier Reef, the Taj Mahal, and in some way express this 350 number. All of that will culminate in an International Day of Action next October, which we really think can kind of shake up this conference a bit, both by showing that people everywhere care about this issue and are mobilizing in creative ways, but also having a really bold policy target that will set this course in a new direction.
Okay, well, October, there may be a pre-Copenhagen meeting in September, October. There almost certainly will be one, so you'll be coinciding with that with a bit of luck.
Well, we're actually trying to set the agenda before the ministers get here. We find that countries often come with set agendas and, they have directions from their president or their prime minister. So what we're really trying to do with the public's help is use a lot of these new online technologies to connect people all around the world so that together we can set the agenda, that by coming out strong behind a really positive and aspirational policy target, we can set the course of the discussions in the media and thereby influence a lot of the politicians who are here.
Okay, now, Daniel, first name, is that okay? I mean, everyone in Second Life has absolutely, we all have wacky names in Second Life, so yours is fairly conventional. So now, I've got you down as UK Youth Delegation. What does that mean? Are you on the UK delegation, but a youth, or is it something else?
We're not on the official UK delegation, we're accredited through partner organisations and ours is taking it global. But collectively we're 15 diverse youth from around the United Kingdom who've come together because we care about climate change and want to make sure that the youth voice is heard at these negotiations. In fact, youth make up about 50% of the stakeholders in these negotiations, and yet they have no official seat at the table. And that's really what we're here to do, to make sure the next generation is represented here.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for questions to come in, can I ask you, one of the things that the youth groups do here every night is a sort of Hollywood-style evildoers of the day, Fossil of the Day award, and I missed it. So do you know who won tonight's award, either of you?
Well, I can start with the third place prize, which is my own home country, the United States. And the United States won because one of the important issues here at the negotiations is about something called RED, which it all has to do, it's an acronym all about deforestation and how we can prevent it. But there's some issues in there about who has the right to profit off of these forests that we're monetizing. And a lot of people who live in those forests happen to be indigenous peoples. And indigenous peoples, not only as individuals, but as groups, have certain rights. But the United States wants to basically take those away in many ways. So instead of talking about indigenous peoples as groups, they want to just talk about indigenous people. And the lack of that S is really a fundamental thing about those groups' rights and how they can move forward to benefit from these projects.
In fact, the missing S on indigenous people has been a sort of major a major UN problem for many years, hasn't it? They've been arguing over it for years and years.
That's correct. So this statement from the US today certainly didn't help, and that's why they got the third place Fossil of the Day award.
Okay, what about first and second? It's not Britain, is it?
No, it's not today. Second place was actually France, who's currently the president of the EU, and they've got it apparently for not acting as the president of all European citizens. There was a vote to keep carbon offsets below 50%, i.e. non-domestic reductions within the EU. And France has refused to put that on the table so far. So they've won for not acting as the president of the entire European Union. And then first place went to Germany, and specifically Angela Merkel, the Chancellor there, for catastrophic deterioration in its position on the EU climate and energy package, where right now we have an absolutely crucial vote coming up tomorrow, and Germany is actually holding that back along with Poland and several other of the European countries.
Okay, well, we know who the baddies are. Oh, there's a question coming in. Now, we tend, just to explain to you, we tend to give priority to the questions because it's Second Life, it's a group. and it's their show. So Rick in Brooklyn says, what can youth in America do to fight climate change? That's a big question.
There's a lot. And Rick, I'm glad you're from Brooklyn. I grew up in Boston, but we can still talk about something besides sports, I guess. I think that there's plenty to do, and there's plenty to do right now. Some great youth coalitions are in the United States, and they're really mobilizing young people to redefine the politics of climate change. There's a great one called the Energy Action Coalition that just this year during the election registered over 350,000 young voters who voted on clean energy. And not only are youth voting, but they're actually organizing. I think they're making their campuses models of sustainability. So if you're on a campus, that's a great place to start. But they're also engaging their communities. They're doing creative events. They're getting out there talking with people. They're mobilizing people around the idea that we need to do more than screw in some new light bulbs. We really need to be screwing in some new politicians as well. And so my advice would be get out there, find what local groups are in your area. There's incredible groups in New York City and cities all across America, and really get involved. And what we can offer with 350.org is a way to take that activism in the U.S. and take it global, to make what you're doing something that can connect with other young people in China and India and all over the world.
Okay, Daniel Vockins from the UK Youth Delegation. You can come back on any of these if you want, but I was just going to ask you, one of the questions that the sort of officials, if you talk to delegates, when I talk to delegates, or even some of the big NGOs, they say, oh, youth, they're just kind of messing around and there's a little stunt outside and what a waste of time. So do you feel you can make an impact and can influence this sort of negotiation?
Absolutely. I think the Canadian youth last year were a really good example. They ran a campaign similar to the one that we took on today. They organised mass phone-ins towards their government, and they actually stopped Canada from halting the negotiations and actually providing the bloc there. So absolutely youth can have a really big impact on these talks, and it's because we're really passionate, we really care, and we spend the time to research the policy and the science, and we come forward with that sort of dedication to a just solution to climate change that's really sometimes lacking in these talks.
Okay, just to remind you, it's Second Life. We're in Second Life, and we're OneClimate, and we're at Poznan in the international climate change negotiations. We've got another question here, so you can press your buzzers to be first to answer it. This one's from Jamie. Oh, sorry, this one it says it's for Jamie Henn. Sorry. How can I start a local action group? I live in Austria and don't know anyone in my area. I find UK Climate Camp inspiring.
Well, it's a great question. What you can start by doing is try and do a little bit of research. There probably are other people in your area, whether they're climate organizations or maybe just a local community group, maybe a sports organization or a church or whatever you think you're interested in, that would probably be able to help you start something going. But the important thing is finding creative ways to reach out. No one wants to be part of more boring meetings or discussions or some of the tedium of organizing, but I think that what people really get excited about is when they see that all of that work that is necessary adds up to really exciting things. And that's why I think what Dan is doing and other youth to do creative actions, to really lobby in creative ways, to find exciting things you can do to spread awareness is really good. So use your talents. I think if you're a musician, put on a concert. If you're an artist, make posters that you can put around your town. And find your friends who have those talents as well. We need more than just policy statements and principles to really solve this problem. We need citizens to bring their creative ideas and pressure to bear. So good luck, and if you have any questions, you can also always visit 350.org, and we've got all sorts of resources.
Oh, yes, I've just been reminded, good point, that if you go to OneClimate and put in the town where you're speaking from, sorry, I'm not sure where it is, you can find other activists or people who are slightly ahead of the curve there, see what they're doing, join in, link up. That's one of the purposes of the OneClimate site. So get networking.